All right, I'm getting used to how this Twitch thing starts. You just start the stream on the program and it starts streaming, which is not what I'm used to on other channels. But here we go. I'm back here to further edit Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 259. This is the video edit using Magic's Movie Studio 15.0 Platinum. And just to recap what I've done so far, I've gotten it up to about 24 minutes. This is a shorter show overall, about 37 minutes worth. And I have it multi-tracked. I have the video track, and there's only one camera, so there's only one angle, so I can't switch back and forth between cameras. It does make things a little sporty. And then what I've got is the camera. I've got the camera capture, which was OBS. It was captured by OBS, by the way. So I have the OBS audio. I guess I could have a similar sort of thing if I would download the YouTube live video from YouTube, but it's going to end up being the same video of us talking. It's just going to be without the overlays, and I could add the overlays and everything, but it's a little bit more work than what I want to do for this right now. So that's the first two tracks. The next track is my audio recording of my incoming audio. So in this case, it is Haley and Michelle and together, and it's what I've recorded locally. And then there's my track of what I've recorded locally. This is my microphone. It is just me. And I also recorded on my recorder locally a soundtrack. I just see that I have to delete this right there. And the soundtrack is just simply the bumps that I've used live, and that's for positioning. And I actually replaced those bumps later because I figured that the more you play a bump and then you record it, it degrades the sound. And if I would just use the original file and put that in instead, then it's a better sound quality overall. And I believe my listeners deserve a little bit better sound quality. Maybe it doesn't make a difference. I think it does. And then I have Haley on her own track. And as you can see, there's a lot of audio missing from her track. That is all because she had her her dryer going. She said laundry, but I think she had her dryer going because I clearly heard some bumps, as you would when your dryer is going round and round and stuff is bumping in the dryer. And she did say she had it on in the pre-show, which I had recorded audio from as well. I listened to that, and we said, no, we couldn't hear it. And we couldn't on our tracks. Like, it's none of that is on the Hangout, because what happens is Google Hangouts or YouTube Live, whatever you want to call it, it actually ends up processing the audio that's coming in. So you get a little less noise. So there's some inherent noise reduction in it. Well, on her local track, she didn't have the noise reduction. She does have a DBX 286. I don't think she uses it. So, or either she doesn't use it or she did use it and it just overcame the noise floor that she has on it. Anyway, I heard it, so I had to take all that out. But that stopped about 13 minutes in. So I was able to keep the rest of her audio in and didn't have to cut it up as much as I did to begin with. This all took a long time to do it, and I did it not on Twitch. I started the Twitch stream last time kind of in the middle of I think it was about 12 minutes in or 13 minutes in. And then I did 13 through 25 minutes. I intend to do the rest tonight. And then I have Michelle, and you can see hers there. And then I've replaced some of the bumps. You can see those, as well as the intro and the pre-roll. And that's kind of cut up there, but I actually zoomed in and I haven't actually cut anything out of them. I must have just cut it as I was cutting another track or something. So it was just really weird. I could actually go in and replace that, but I'm not going to. All right. So that's where we're at for the tracks. And just to give you, if this is your first time watching, a little bit of an insight into the processing that goes on live when I'm playing it and when it renders. I'll give you an example from, let's go Haley's track. So I go to the track FX and I have all of these effects on the track. I have iZotope RX5 denoiser. I actually have RX7 and I need to install that, but I'm running RX5 right now. Gmax, which is a GVST plugin that works. That is basically a compressor. And as you can see the settings right there, let's go to the denoise. This is what it looks like. I just keep it on auto or adaptive, and it automatically learns and takes the noise reduction down. Now, I could play with the thresholds, but from what I've seen so far, it's actually worked pretty well. So Gmax is basically the compressor. And yes, I do have a lot of gain in here, but she records really low. So I have to add a lot of gain and then put the limiter at -3 for the ceiling. I put a noise gate in about -30 dB, and that's on every single track. And on Haley's track, she's got a little bit of echo in her room. Yes, she's using the same microphone I have, the Electro Voice RE320, but in her room, it is echoing. And she's either got the microphone not as close to her mouth as it really needs to be, and she told me it's about 4 inches away. So her room just must be incredibly echoey. So I'm running about 12 dB of reverb reduction, or we call it deverb because that's the SPL name of the effect. And then one effect that I don't run while I'm editing, but I do run later, is declick. This takes out some artifacts in the track, like clicking noises or maybe some brokenness in the track. And this could just be artifacts of the recorder you're using, or the audio chain might not necessarily be anything in the room. It just helps clean up the audio a little bit. But it takes so much processing power because it's literally going in. I actually don't know how it works, but because it's taking so long, I imagine it going discrete point by discrete point and doing an averaging and seeing if it's too much out of bounds, that it will then correct it and smooth it out, basically. And that takes a long time. So if you are doing that on like Audacity, it takes a while for each track to run. But if you're doing it on a non-destructive editor that does all the tracks at once when you render, then it takes a little bit less time just because it's automatically switching back and forth between the tracks as it's rendering. But it does still take a while. So those are the effects on the tracks. And I've got each track is dialed in. I'll have to show that on a future stream. I actually have a template that I finally created that will give an initial starting point, and it has most of those effects on there, so I don't have to build them every time. It actually took a while in the past. Now I just plug the audio in and boom, I've got it where it is. All right, guys. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start editing right here. And I'm just going to punch and roll sort of edit. I don't know if that's the correct term or not. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to listen and I'm going to make corrections as I go along. So you might not actually hear me making corrections. This is kind of an insight, behind the scenes sort of thing I've got going on. If you want to learn how to edit, I will be doing an audio edit later. This video edit is just to clean up the video just a little bit and take out some of the over talking, some of the crutch words, but not too many because of my mouth moves and there's no sound coming out. Then that's kind of bad for the video. So I have to leave some bad audio artifacts in, but then I'll take it over into Audacity and run an audio edit there. It does take a little bit more time, but my chief output is my audio product for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's an audio podcast. It's not a YouTube channel, although we do stream on YouTube. So I take a little bit extra care to get a superior audio project out and published. All right. If you have any questions, just leave them in the chat. I think I have the chat room up. Again, I'm kind of new to Twitch streaming, so if I need to do something different and you can't get a hold of me, you can always catch me on Twitter at Stargate Pioneer, or you can send me an email, stargatepioneer@guineageek.com. All right, with that all out of the way, here we go into the final 25 minutes of edit of this, and my guess is it's going to take about 50 minutes. And that's about double the time. It might take less, but it's not going to take less than about 25. Where are we at? 37 minutes from 24. So actually that isn't as bad as I thought it was. I thought it was going to be about 25 minutes. All right. That is roughly 13 minutes. So this might take about half an hour. We'll see how it goes. All right. I know that the last thing I did before I went to sleep last night was to get it all the way to the end of the Daredevil segment. So this starts the new segment after this. So I did put the bump in, and then I started on the news, and that is where we're going to start here. So here we go.
History of Doctor Who, the progression of the show over the years, and the aspects of it that keep us all drawn into the adventure. Again, that's the Intellectual Podcast, episode 226.
So we hinted at this.
Oh, I heard something there. I bet it was from Haley's track.
So
Yep. And the reason I could tell that is the little green, what do you call it? Audio meter went up and down there. So I know there is some audio artifact there, even though I can't see it. I went into this last time, and because the recording is so low, the gain on the recording is so low for them locally, is I don't have a good waveform like I do in my recordings. So some of the artifacts are hidden, and I have to listen for them. Now, as I'm editing right now, I don't have my cans on. I'm editing, or I'm listening through some studio monitors. They're speakers, but they're called studio monitors because they have a flat response. They're JBL LSR 305s, so 5-inch reference speakers basically. And hopefully you can't hear them through the microphone. Hopefully I have them gated out. If that is a problem and it's echoing through the microphone, please let me know and I'll put my cans on. But as I hear these artifacts, I got to take them out. And that was one of the artifacts that I took out. And then I don't have to worry about it in the audio edit. So here we go.
So we hinted at this a little earlier when we were opening up this episode. Netflix has canceled Luke Cage.
Yeah, according to sources, Netflix was not particularly impressed with the delivered.
I can take that out, I think, unless she rolls into it.
Netflix was not. Netflix.
I think maybe I can do that. I ran through that several times because when you're saying some of that might spill into it, and we'll hear it right now if I didn't get all of the or ah as she goes into Netflix. And if that's the case, we'll move it to the right. And if I shorten up the Netflix to the point where it doesn't sound like Netflix, it sounds like Etflix or something like that, then I got to leave the in, and I will deal with that in Audacity. That is why I do Audacity audio editing, is because I cannot be as precise with this audio or with this video editor.
Versus Netflix was not particularly impressed with the delivered season 3 scripts. The writer's room was recently put on hold, and they hear a behind the scenes turmoil ensued this week. There was a disagreement between the sides on creative direction and possible personnel changes leading to the cancellation. Now, we talked about how Netflix has these shows and they're supposed to be theirs, and it's their decision to cancel them or not. Netflix has also canceled Orange is the New Black and such like that. So I know I'm like, okay, I know the second season of Luke Cage was not
okay. Hold on. Just to let you know, this is the track that you're listening to and she's on, but I'm referring to here because that's where I can see better. So this whole time she is not fumbling around for words, but it's not as concise as I would like. In the audio editor, I am going to shorten that up if I can. But for the video, I can't really shorten it up without a jump cut. And let's talk about the jump cuts. A lot of people on YouTube are fine with the jump cuts. I am not fine with the jump cut. I'm thinking if you're going to edit your video and you know that you're going to edit it, for crying out loud, get a second camera and do that second angle. I don't care if it's less quality camera, but get that second camera. So your main camera is 4K. If you're going to edit and screw up, that's fine. Use a second camera. This is my opinion, by the way. And that way you can go back and forth with the two scenes and not use a jump cut. Those jump cuts are annoying, especially if they're every single word. And there are some videos that I watch. There are some YouTube channels sailing YouTube channels, for instance, that I watch. I'm very passionate about my sailing YouTube channels. It's just new to me in 2018, but I would like to actually get a sailboat and sail the Caribbean. It just seems so cool, and I would like to do that at some point in time. But these YouTube channels are great because they're giving me the know-how. They're giving me the insights, the in and outs of not only the Caribbean, but also boats, how to make them seaworthy, how to be safe, how to sail safely, and how to repair and maintain them. But there's a video every once in a while where they're sit down and they've just got that one camera and they go, and every other word. It's just annoying as crap. And I should just let it go, but I tell them, no, you guys, you can't do that. And again, the only way to get out of that is to do a second camera. There are some YouTube channels that do that very effectively. And like I said, the second camera does not have to be 4K. It could be a 1080 camcorder. I don't care. But just make sure if you're going to cut like that you cut back and forth and it doesn't look like a jump cut because you're looking at another scene. Right. This SP's filmmaking 101. And I'm not an expert filmmaker, but I've learned about the two multiple camera angles. Okay, here we go.
Netflix has also canceled Orange is the New Black and such like that. So I know I'm like, okay, I know the second season of Luke Cage was not as well received as the first. And perhaps it just didn't draw the numbers as the other ones are. Like the new season of Daredevil, people are just raving about it. Other ones are like the new season of.
All right. I'm going to take this out and I'm highlighting this track, and that's not the one we're listening to, it just to use it as a guide for this track, which should be lined up pretty well. So hopefully I'm not cutting that out. I would like to cut this out too down here, but I think that's actually part of what she's saying. So I can't cut that out.
As the other ones are, like the new season of Daredevil, people are just raving about it and talking about it. So I don't think Daredevil's in trouble. But, creative differences, sometimes that will lead to it. Now I know SP is going to go on the Disney did it because of the streaming service. So SP, go right on ahead.
I'm not going to say Disney did it, but I'm going to say, I don't know if you heard that or not, but there was some mouth breathing noises before I started to speak, and those come out. I'm not going to
go right on ahead.
I'm not going to say Disney did it, but I'm going to say Disney probably is not making it profitable for Netflix. They do control Marvel Studios. Marvel Studios is what is actually filming the episodes. Yes, it is a Netflix show, but it's in conjunction with Marvel Studios. So they might have not have placed their best foot forward, knowing that okay, this is just me saying later on I'm going to take out that so. That is a crutch word. I don't need it in this case. I'll back it up just so you can listen to it again and you can make your own determination, but I say I don't need that. So, but it's in conjunction with Marvel Studios. So they might have not have placed their best foot forward, knowing that the Disney streaming service is coming in a few short months and not really want to sink many long-term. Disney streaming service is coming in a few short months and not really want to sink many long-term. I don't know if you heard that, but there were some clicks and it was coming from Haley's track. I'm going to take those out. It's their best foot forward, knowing that the Disney streaming service is coming in a few short months and not really want to sink many long-term resources into that. It could have been as simple as that, and that could have led to the creative downfall of the show. I don't know.
I've been wondering since I heard about.
I could probably leave that in, but I'm going to take that out. You know what? This is a perfect opportunity. So this is going to be a cut because the camera has switched to Haley and she starts her dialogue right here.
I've been wondering since I heard about.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here, and if I select in this particular editor on a vacant track, I can actually cut everything. I want to cut everything. I'm going to go to me, downfall of the show, and roughly right there. Usually you want to leave about a second in between when people are talking. Now, this varies from cadence to cadence, show to show, and from person to person. But on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., somewhere between 0.85 and 1.2 seconds is what I try to strive for. And I didn't actually count that out. So I have gone ahead and I have cut out a section. I'm going to actually select everything, and I do this by holding down the shift key as I hold down the left mouse button and drag. So I've selected that entire section of basically nothing. I'm going to delete that. What I'm going to do, silence my cell phone, because I'm sure you heard that, and I am going to zoom out. The reason I'm going to zoom out is I didn't remember if I had cut any more of Haley's track, and I have not, so that's good. So all I have to do is select up here, do the shift, and go all the way down. If there was no cuts, I would just do a Control A for select all. But I have cut, so there's that. Now I have clicked up here in the top bar, so I haven't clicked down here in the tracks, and that allows me to reset where I am viewing. And now I have left clicked, and I'm holding my mouse button, and because I've selected all the tracks, I'm dragging all those tracks right over. Now let's see if that was enough space. If it's not, then I'm just going to have to add a little bit more space. Downfall of the show.
I've been wondering since I heard.
And that could have led to the downfall, the creative downfall of the show.
I've been wondering since I heard about the Luke Cage cancellation, or actually I was thinking this after the Iron Fist, that maybe they were going to bring him into Luke Cage and put those two together to do a show. And then after this cancellation, I was wondering if maybe they wanted to launch a new show around those two characters as a team.
Yeah, and let's back up a second. We've heard from all parties involved that the Defenders probably was likely not to get a season 2 ever again, which I liked it, and I know a lot of people did. I know a lot of people said they could have been done better. But once Disney announced their streaming service, and once we heard that there wasn't going to be a Defenders season 2, so what's the point of having all these Netflix Marvel universes going on their own? Yeah, you can transport characters back and forth. I'm not even going to say secondary characters. All right, I'm going to take that little stumble out. Crutch double word. Characters back and forth. I'm not even going to say secondary characters, because like I don't know if I would call Karen, because like okay, in the audio. All right, this is what I'm going to do in the audio edit. I'm going to take all that out. I'm going to show you how stupid that kind of looks with my mouth moving and me not saying anything. Say secondary characters, because I don't know if that doesn't work. I am going to take this out. Secondary characters, because I don't know if I would call Karen Page a secondary character. She's a prime. You know what? I'm going to leave that in. I know I said I was going to take it out, but it just looks stupid with me talking and not saying anything. Secondary characters, because like I don't know if I would call Karen Page a secondary character. She's a prime character, and she's going back and forth, same as Claire. So I think that the writing was on the wall, and we're just waiting for the rest of the collapse. Now, what I don't want to say is that Disney streaming is going to take those two shows, Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and throw them on their streaming service. I don't think that's it. I think when it boils down to is the same that happened with Marvel Comics, and that the film rights for the Marvel characters, eventually Marvel, now owned by Disney, they want that back. So they're going to make moves to make that happen. We've already seen it with the comic books for.
I think it makes sense that they don't want
Okay. I'm going to take out Haley saying, select it. Up here on this reference track, I can see where she's talking. So I'm just going to take that out. She's going to interrupt me, but at least you don't have to deal with her constantly interrupting me before she interrupts me. It with the comic books for...
I think it makes sense.
I am not made out for this live Twitch thing. Hey, Heather, how's it going? See you. And hey, David, I see you too. It with the comic books for...
I think it makes sense that they don't want, in the long run, to have their intellectual property spread out over a bunch of different services. Like, they want to...
Okay,
let
let's
what's out
back
there...
up a second. Look at that. Right there. The comic books for...
I think it makes sense that they don't want, in the long run, to have their intellectual property spread out over a bunch of different services. Like, they want to...
Okay, that was a happy birthday balloon, by the way, so don't worry, that wasn't an alien. Or if I had Bandrew's conspiracy theory corner, I could say that was an alien, but it's not. It was a happy birthday balloon.
In the long run, to have their intellectual property spread out over a bunch of different services.
Okay, David, forehead footage, yes, I get it. I've asked her to move her camera, and I haven't. She likes where it's at. And when I get better bandwidth, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do Skype via NDI, and I'm going to be able to situate everybody a little bit better. And I'm going to use XSplit. But until that time, this is what I got. Again, my primary product out of this is an audio podcast. So like this doesn't really even matter, except for those few people that really want to see it on YouTube. The comic books for...
I think it makes sense that they don't want, in the long run, to have their intellectual property spread out over a bunch of different services. Like, they want to, like, let what's out there kind of run its course and then bring it all in.
I'm going to take all those likes out in the audio edit. Just saying.
Like, they want to, like, let what's out there kind of run its course and then bring it all in into the house of the mouse and have it all completely under their control and all in one place.
Right. So again, I'm not saying that Disney called for the cancellation of these shows. Netflix obviously did. What I'm saying is Disney probably did some things behind the scenes to not make it as lucrative as it might have been.
I wonder what that means.
If I did a better job of switching, I would take that silence out of the video, but I did not. So that silence is going to be in here, but it's not going to be in the audio version. Might have been.
I wonder what that means for Hulu and the Runaways.
Well, I think ABC...
I'm going to take out the little noise tick. That was Haley getting ready to speak. And that's just an artifact of a lot of people. If you're on a cardiodynamic microphone 4 to 6 inches away, you're going to get some of that. The mouth clicks and ticks and some of the breath noises before you start speaking. And this is just a simple way to get rid of it, is actually silence or delete that part of the track.
That means for Hulu and the Runaways.
Well, I think ABC Disney is the biggest owner of Hulu at this point, especially after the Fox acquisition, right?
Oh, yeah.
ABC or Disney. All right. What I said there doesn't matter. So I just took that out, and Michelle gets the nod.
Oh, yeah.
Except for I'm going to take out her mouth tick too. We all do it. Just got to take them out.
Oh, yeah.
ABC or Disney. I don't know who's going to end up owning what, but yeah, basically, yeah. This isn't, ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'm going to say this is another long silence and I'm not going to do anything with, but I heard noises and I'm going to take them out. Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because
there was another noise. There was like a bang. The noise must have took it out on the second pass. Sometimes I have to play, if I hear it once, like a bang or something like that, and I don't hear it again, I know that the effects have taken it out. But more than likely, if I play it again, I will find it and I will delete it because it'll render like that. I don't know who's going to end up owning what, but yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, that's right, because we thought Hulu might be the Disney streaming service, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's an actual separate thing, which I'm not going to pay for.
Again, there was another breath noise or something in there. I didn't catch which track. Again, if you look over here at the meters, you will notice which track is active.
It's an actual separate thing, which I'm not going to.
That was Haley's track. There, that should have taken care of it.
Disney streaming service, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's an actual separate thing, which I'm not going to pay for. Or either are you going to pay for it?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't want to. That was Haley's track again.
Are you going to pay for it?
I don't know. Well,
Pretty sure that was Haley.
I'm not going to pay for. Or either are you going to pay for it?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Wow, I saw Haley's track moving quite a bit there.
Streaming service, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's an actual separate thing, which I'm not going to pay for. Or either are you going to pay for it?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't want to. That takes care of it now.
Pay for it?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Getting rid of that tick.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
I don't want to. I'll tell you that much. I really don't want to. If it's low, I got a deal that was emailed to me, like Hulu $5.99 for a year. That's actually enticing for me. Now, remember, I pay cable and then I pay for two streaming services, which is Amazon Prime and Netflix. And because I have cable, I don't want to really pay for other streaming services. So I don't have Hulu. But when that $5.99 deal came and it was for a year, I was like, maybe for $5.99 for Hulu. But then I thought of all the stuff that Hulu doesn't have anymore. I'm like, well, it's probably only worth $5.99 of my money because they don't have the CBS All Access stuff and everything else on there anymore. So I don't know. I'm not planning on paying for it.
I was in the same boat. Like,
Getting rid of the overtalk and her little stutter, the crutch. So I don't know. I'm not planning on paying for it.
I was in the same boat. Like, Hulu is almost what I want, but there's enough shows that they don't have. There's
a click somewhere. I don't know if that was on Haley's track or not. If it was on Haley's track while she's talking, I can't get rid of it. But if it's on somebody else's track, I'm getting rid of it.
It was in the same boat. Like, Hulu is almost what I want, but there's enough shows that they don't have. There's a lot of stuff that you don't know exactly. Like, it's going to go on Hulu the next day, but you don't know when the next day. Like, it could happen in the middle of the night while you're sleeping, and then it's there when you wake up, or it could be the middle of the day the next day. You don't know when it's going to arrive. Also, like, there's a lot of content that they don't have, which is why I ended up at PlayStation View for a long time, and then I'm over to DirecTV now. So you're going to have to give me a lot of bang for my buck with this new Disney streaming service to make it worth it for me. I've got Amazon Prime, but I've got that more for the Amazon part than the streaming services and Netflix.
Just want to comment on her dialogue for that time period. She used an awful lot of crutch words, which is not like Haley. She's normally very precise about what she says. In the audio edit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, take out those likes and some of those double speaks and crutch words that she uses along the way. And the posted version, published version of the audio product will actually be a lot better. And that's what's going to be available on my feed for years and years to come. So I want to make sure that I'm not wasting the listeners' time and I am contributing to their audio enjoyment. I know not everybody, but I know some people get really annoyed at people when they do that. And if you've been editing podcasts for as long as I have, you do get annoyed at that. I get annoyed at that sort of stuff at work. So I like to take that stuff out. I'm not going to take it out of the video. Hard to mask, with her mouth. Although in this particular case, if her mouth stays below that lower shield, I can probably mask some stuff and take it out, but in this particular case, I'm just going to leave it in. Okay, I'm going to continue on now.
Part than the streaming services and Netflix.
Disney's going to have a lot of Prime content on their streaming service. Make no bones about it. They actually have created quite the empire between Marvel and Star Wars and the traditional Disney stuff, and they've got ABC stuff. So when you combine it all, it's almost looks like it's going to be worth it, but I have to see on what's available there versus what's available on my other
It's
stuff.
going to be what kind of exclusive content do they have? And if they're making new Marvel television shows over there or new Star Wars television shows, like, you know, exclusive content there, maybe. But
that are coming out in the audio edit.
Like, you know, exclusive content there, maybe. But if it's just like, oh, here's our back catalog of movies and stuff, I own the movies that I want to watch already.
At least for now. In the future, then it'll all be going over there. Now, new Star Wars content. I mean, there's several different series in development. Resistance just started airing. I took a look at it, and I will watch it because I have Disney now through my cable subscription. It's being aired on my Disney Channel. But if I didn't have that, I don't know if I'd go out, because it's not the amazing Clone Wars. It's not what Rebels turned out to be. Okay, just as point of order, I'm going to take that out in the audio edit, because it's not the amazing Clone War. Actually, I could probably take that out in the video edit here. That way I don't have to deal with it later. That I don't know if I'd go out, because it's not the amazing Clone Wars. It's not what Rebels turned out to be. So if you take shows like that and put it on Disney streaming service, I'm not sure that that's going to entice me. But if you put other good stuff on there, that's going to be something else altogether. So it really depends on what their programming slate looks like.
Definitely. Well, the last bit of news this week is that we're finally getting a look at Tom Holland's new Spider-Man costume.
It was really cute. On October 18th on Jimmy Kimmel Live, his co-host or side co-host.
All right. The I'm going to take out in the audio edit, but was very careful watching her mouth, and she's obviously saying something, so I have to leave them in on the video.
Kimmel Live, his co-host or sidekick, Guillermo, came out wearing the Spider-Man mask, going pew 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 with his hands, like, you know, pretending to throw out, you know, spider webs. And then all of a sudden, Tom Holland comes out, you know, in like the Spider-Man costume, wearing a cone over his head, trying to chase him around. And then, you know, finally he takes it off, and everyone's like, "Woo, it's Tom Holland in the suit." And it's an interesting suit. It's darker than the one from Homecoming. It looks pretty good.
I guess the big question is, how does he get from Thanos to this movie?
I know that.
Want to stop it for a second, and for those watching the audio or the video edit here, gosh, where am I want to just point out something. I did not reverse my camera using a Google Hangout toolbox like I normally do on this video. And as you can see, my mic flag is reversed. And it's actually, if you take a look at the video that I am actually showing of me live right now, you can actually see the mic flag, and it's popping up on the correct side of the video versus it's backwards in what you see there. And that's because Google Hangouts on air, YouTube Live, what it shows back to you is a mirror image. So you have to flip that mirror image on the local viewing page in order to screen capture, which that is what OBS is doing. It's screen capturing here. I don't know if an NDI stream you'd have to flip that or not. I don't think you did. You would have to, but I'm not doing NDI. I'm doing the old school screen capture recording for this. And that is what is going on here. So yeah, I had a couple of bad weeks when it came to the video, and this is the last mistake in those about a month and a half that I made, and everything has been normal for the last couple of weeks, but this is the last one. It kind of bugs me a little bit I'm just pointing it out just in case you are looking very finely at me in the or the video preview. And yeah, so not too enthralled with that. All right, here we go. Together. So it really depends on what their programming slate looks like.
Definitely. Well,
I guess the big question is, how does he get from Thanos to this movie?
I know that was brought up, and Tom Holland's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. In fact, I think Thanos is robbing a bank, so I have to go take care of that.
They probably haven't told him because they don't want him to reveal it.
That's probably true.
Hey, David, if you're still in the chat, I know you said you hated breath noises. On the laugh here, I'm just going to leave it in, but I'm curious as to whether you are okay with leaving it in on like a laugh or a gasp. They probably haven't told him because they don't want him to reveal it.
That's probably true. I've heard that it's supposed to take, maybe, I don't remember. I think I heard rumors that it's supposed to take place before the events of Infinity War.
Kind of like an Ant-Man and the Wasp sort of time frame.
Maybe, who knows?
But doesn't the movie come out after Avengers 4?
Yeah, way after, isn't it? 2020?
Okay, who knows?
Maybe
I don't know then.
Somebody, shoot. This is one thing I hate about movie studio. I actually hit the space bar to kind of pause it, but what it did is it went back to the last actual placement of the cursor. So now I have to go forward and find where I was. I don't remember. Doesn't the movie come out after Avengers 4?
Yeah, way after, isn't it? 2020?
Okay, who knows?
Oh, right there.
2020?
Okay, who knows?
Okay. I can't tell if it's coming from Haley or Michelle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the S, which is solo. So that makes any track that is clicked with the solo the only thing that you hear.
Yeah, way after, isn't it? 2020?
Okay. Sounds like it's coming from Haley's track.
Okay, who knows?
Actually, it might be mine. You know what? I think it's just the combined of Michelle. This is an example of constructive interference, I guess. Michelle is saying 20 and Haley has a little tick, but it sounds a lot worse when you combine the two.
Yeah, way after, isn't it? 2020?
Okay,
Oops.
Isn't it?
Okay,
2020?
who knows? Okay, who?
I'm going to get rid of that tick.
Isn't it?
Okay,
2020?
who knows?
Yep.
I don't know then.
Maybe that's what they... All right, David, I did see your comments. Okay, gassed. David doesn't want any joy. Laughs are okay. Depends on the laugh. Okay. I'm going to say my laugh was okay there, so I'm going to leave it in.
2020?
Okay, who knows?
Maybe
I don't know then.
Maybe that's what they told Tom Holland. All right, I'm going to take that out because I double talk because... Okay, this is a co-hosting skill. So if you do get into a spot where you have overspoken somebody else, the best thing to do, especially for the audio edit later, is to say it again. And that way you are giving the audio editor, in this case me, the opportunity to actually have Haley on her solo track say what she is saying, and then I start saying my stuff later. Lauren is great at doing this too, because she'll often overtalk somebody else, but then she'll go back and say what she's going to say as well. Actually, Michelle and Haley have both really picked up that skill as well, and it's really worked out in post. And we actually haven't even talked about that in our production meetings. I should bring that up next time.
2020?
Okay, who knows? I don't know then.
Maybe that's what they told Tom Holland.
Yeah, but it really comes out next week.
Yeah. Right.
And it's a surprise to him because he has no clue. They just, who knows with him.
So he filmed the movie and didn't realize it?
Yeah, that's probably what happened. They just, like
They're
here.
like, no, this is promo material.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably what happened. They just, like
They're
here,
like, no,
it's
this is
All right, here's the tough call. Because in the audio edit, what I want to do is go from Michelle and what she's talking about right where the cursor is to Haley, what she's talking about right there. So on the video, it's going to look weird because Michelle is obviously talking, but I'm going to take out this. And so she's going to be talking and nothing's going to be coming out of her mouth. But it's going to make for a superior audio edit. So here's where you have to prioritize. Is my show a audio show primarily, or is it a video show? I can tell you by far I get more audio downloads than I do video views on YouTube. So that's an easy choice for me, but you got to make that call yourself. And in this particular case, it's going to look a little weird on the audio or on the video, but it's going to sound better on the audio.
realize it.
yeah, that's probably what happened.
They're like, no, this is promo material.
You know what? I think that's going to work out because her video stutters. So both Michelle and Lauren's connection. Lauren's not on this podcast, by the way, on this episode of the podcast, but she's on the show. So sometimes their video stutters when it comes into me or into YouTube in this particular case. And it's because of their bandwidth. They have low bandwidth. And thank goodness YouTube is actually prioritizing the audio. And that's what's coming in primarily, although that gets degraded from time to time as well. So in this particular case, I'm going to take out that audio, and it looks like to me, and it could have been an artifact of the preview, but it looks like to me that I captured a stutter coming in, so it doesn't look like her mouth is moving. Now I'm going to back it up, give the program a little chance to spin up on the video preview, and we'll see if it's actually her stuttered or video stuttered or stalled, or if that was just an artifact of the preview.
Who knows with him?
So he filmed the movie and didn't realize it.
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
They're like, no, this is promo material.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Here, read these lines. Why for? They're just practice, Tom. It's just practice.
With Kevin Feige involved, it was a really good movie, and I'm looking forward to this movie as well. It's just really weird because it is part of the MCU, but it's not part of the MCU. So it's like, I don't know what to think about it.
It is part of the MCU.
Yeah, it is.
That gasp was so broken up and so bad. I'm taking it out. But it's like, I don't know what to think about it.
It is part of the MCU.
Yeah, it is.
It's the Venom movie that's not part of the MCU.
What's the Venom movie?
I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either. I have no desire to.
I still haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, guys. It's real bad.
I'm going to take out me. There's no reason that has to be there. And it sounds better. Desire to.
I still haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, guys. It's real bad.
Oh, that's out now on Blu-ray.
I know it is. I'm probably going to end up buying the Blu-ray before I actually see it.
Well, sure. Why not? There's lots of special effects there and everything. I mean, it's a good, fun watch. All you have to do is find a couple hours, but watch it.
Oh, let me just carve that out on my schedule.
Yeah, kind of figured. Hours, but watch. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm cutting it out. What I did is I'm selecting the track. I'm going down to the split, and I'm splitting the track. And what I'm going to do, instead of splitting it and deleting it, is I've selected the cursor right there, and I select this trim start. Basically, you have this trim start, and you got the trim end. In this particular case, the trim start will save everything to the right, and that's what I want to do here. So it's just a one-click operation. In a couple hours, watch it.
Oh, let me just carve that out on my schedule.
Yeah, kind of figured. All right. Well, that's it for the news discussion this week. And that's it for all of our. Sorry, I keep on going back here. And this is the bane of editing. Sometimes you hear the same thing over and over. I have a story to tell. So the first person that I podcasted with was the GWC crowd, and Chuck Cage was the producer and editor of that. I remember staying over at his house. They were very gracious, and it was fun being friends with them at the time, and being able to stay over the house will forever be gracious of that. And I actually got to hear Chuck. In retrospect, I should have been sitting side saddle with him, was tell me how to edit in Pro Tools, because that's what he was using, Pro Tools. And years later, I'm like, I could have been so far ahead of the game if I would have just sat down with Chuck and I was, what are you doing? What's that? What are you doing? And it would have made my initial editing in Audacity a lot easier. I had no idea what I was doing in Audacity the first time. It was totally foreign to me. I'm surprised the first episode of Voices of Defiance got out. I remember editing that podcast. I think we recorded for like 40 minutes or so, and I was editing for over 26 hours. And that was just a pain in the butt. But something like that can come out in the audio edit. And this is what it's going to sound like. I'm going to bring it back here because I'm obviously talking. But in the audio edit, that's going out.
Carve that out of my schedule.
Yeah, kind of figured. Well, if I didn't look like I was speaking, I would leave that out. But obviously it looks like I'm speaking, so I have to leave it in. Dang it.
Carve that out of my schedule.
Yeah, kind of figured. All right. Well, that's it for the news discussion this week. And that's it for all of our discussion this week. And we are going to politely take our chairs and roll this one out. Just want to point out at this point in time, we usually do a feedback section. We didn't have feedback this particular week. And I think it was because Lauren, she usually puts the feedback in and she wasn't here in the podcast. I think it was a last minute determination that where she couldn't be with us, which happens from time to time. I mean, there's 4 of us on the podcast. It's okay. But I think Michelle looked into the feedback a little bit and there was nothing of note anyway, which is really odd for Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Usually we get gobs and gobs of feedback because there's always tons going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and on TV. And there just wasn't this particular week. So we decided to go straight from the news to the end of the show. And that's why the show, one of the many reasons why the show is shorter than a normal show. But that's why there's no feedback here. Usually there is. All right. This is the last bump. I can already tell it's the end of feedback 2 bump because I know that what that looks like. And here is me replacing it. You saw me grab it. I'm looking at a screen without my camera on, and then I'm turning to look at the OBS screen. I actually have 3 screens. I'm editing on the main screen. I got OBS on the far right, and I've got the Twitch going on the left. Yes, Bandrew, first time through 26 hours, but I didn't have any music experience like you did when you started doing video and audio editing. You actually had editing experience before you started podcasting and doing the YouTubing. I did not. This was brand new to me. Matter of fact, Voices of Defiance, I think you've heard me say this before. Voices of Defiance was literally me. One of the purposes of the show was to learn how to podcast because I really wanted to learn how to podcast. GWC had ended. I wanted to continue podcasting. I couldn't do it through GWC, so I was going to create my own podcast, and dang it, I was going to do it. Now, originally, I was going to do Continuum, and I had 2 people picked out as co-hosts. Neither of them wanted to do it on Continuum. Then I said Defiance, and both of them were like, no. I'm like, gosh, dang it. So I knew that Sean's wife, Shannon, was a big Defiance fan. So I reached out to Sean. I was like, dude, I know your wife, because Sean was one of the hosts for GWC or Galactic Water Cooler for years. And Shannon had expressed no desire whatsoever to podcast. And I had met her in person, but only for like a couple of minutes during one of their meetups down in Plano, Texas, Dallas, Texas. And so she really didn't know me. I really didn't know her, but I knew Sean. I was like, dude, I know she's really into Defiance. Does she want to do the show? And he's like, yes. So bingo. And then he said, if she's doing it, I'm doing it, because I've been trying to get her podcasting for years. And she always said it was dumb as crap and didn't want to do it. Well, you'd get Jamie Murray in, which was one of the stars of Defiance. She's fangirling pretty hard over Jamie Murray. She said, yeah, I want to do it just for that. So thus our first recording on Defiance, and then me taking 26 hours to edit or whatever it was. It was over a day of editing. It was hell. And I was trying to get it out on a schedule, and it was just not working. So what I'm doing here is I am zooming in as far as I can to try to get those 2 to line up. And at the start, I know that's a good place to do it. Let's see if I can do it here as well. All right. That's close enough. And it doesn't have to be exact with these bumps I've learned over the years. I mean, I've been trying to get it in Audacity. I've been trying to get the exact same like tick. You go down to the discrete, like Audacity will do a bit, every so often. I would try to get those exact. In the end, I've learned that if you get it close, well, that's good for the bumps. You don't have to get it exact. Now I'm going to play it here and you're going to hear what it sounds like with both tracks active. So I didn't know if you heard this. This is a short bump, right? But about the middle of the bump, you heard it go from constructive to destructive interference. And that is because there's a little bit of audio drift in the recorded version versus the actual wave file. And that's one of the reasons why I want to replace it with the actual file, because I know it's getting distorted as I'm recording it, not only at a lower actual quality level, but I know it's being stretched or condensed or something like that. I'm like, no, I want it to be how it was actually recorded and how I've actually produced it. And this is what it sounds like on its own. Roll this one out. Thanks to everybody that has been tweeting back at us for some great feedback and discussions back and forth on different things. And thanks to Born to Eat Bandra, if you're still listening, I have a phrase that you are very familiar with. Words are hard. Thanks to everybody that has been tweeting back at us for some great feedback and discussions back and forth on different things. And thanks to Born to Eat Bacon, I received my new bands. So this is the Daredevil one. I'll be wearing it when we actually podcast on Daredevil, but got a few others there. So thank you very much to our fans.
Yeah, thank you to everybody that's listened along over the long hiatus that is nowhere near its end. We appreciate everybody that's hanging around with us. Everybody that's...
Okay, her mouth is sufficiently covered that I'm going to take out that Oh, gosh.
Long hiatus that is nowhere near its end. We appreciate everybody that's hanging around with us. Everybody...
Mouth words. Mouth tick. Hope I don't... Woo. Wrong track selected. Control Z is your friend. That's undo.
We appreciate everybody that's hanging around with us. Everybody that's watched ahead in the Netflix shows to let us know that we've got good stuff to look forward to. And I can't wait till we get to watch it.
Yeah, thank you to everyone who listens and interacts with us. We really appreciate it.
And we're looking forward to Agent Lauren coming back next week. Until next time, I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
See y'all next time. Bye.
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 All right, in post, I'm going to line up this outro really tightly, and it's going to sound exactly how I want it to sound, and I'm going to start it exactly when I'm going to start. But in the meantime, what's happening here is that I've started it. You just can't hear it because the denoiser or whatever I've got. Let's see what effects I've got on this track. It's just a noise gate. So the noise gate is actually taking it out. So what I'm going to do here, obviously, is I've got the same outro track that I have put on the soundboard, and I'm going to replace it. And this one's easy to replace because of the beeps at the end. Really easy to line up. And again, you don't have to be incredibly exact. Oh, by the way, as I'm zooming in and out, that's the roller bar on my mouse. That's how I'm able to do this. And I know it's probably, as you're viewing it, you'll be like, SP, I going in and out. You're making me sick. And I'm sorry if I am, but it's how I have to edit and look at it. So I am going to play this just to make sure it's lined up correctly. And then I'm going to get rid of that whole track, the soundboard track, because there's no need to at this time. I have replaced all of the bumps in the exact same spot that they are. Don't need them anymore. That was some exact constructive interference. So I am on the ball on that. All right, just zooming out to make sure none of it's there. I have a couple of artifacts left on the track that I haven't deleted, but guess what? It doesn't matter because I'm going to go over to here, the title card of the track, and I'm going to right click. That brings up this menu and delete track. Bye-bye. Don't need that anymore. And after that is done, we're going to go back to the buys and you're going to hear the difference. No more noise gate. You're going to actually hear the track. And we're looking forward to Agent Lauren coming back next week. Until next time, I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Haley.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
See y'all next time. Bye.
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 Okay, I won't play the rest of it, but the reason why I do have noise gate on the soundboard track as I'm editing is in some cases, as you saw, there were artifacts that were left there. If I leave the soundtrack or the soundboard track in there, and if I render, and if there are line noise in that track, you're going to hear it in the final render of whatever portion that I'm rendering, maybe the whole thing. And I just didn't want that in there. So that is why the FX for that channel has the noise gate on it. Normally, you wouldn't think a soundboard would need a noise gate, but I have had cases where there is line noise, like maybe the noise ground loop isolator that's coming out of the iPad into the mixer is acting up, or I don't have it connected correctly, and you just get some noise artifacts in there. And I don't want that in my final product. That's why I know in the soundboard, I have it on. I don't need it in the intro outro track, the copy of the intro outro. And I do the copy, by the way. It's an exact copy of the track. And the only reason to do that is, or at least the effects, is because I have this little overlap here. And I need to be able to get both of those in, or the bump track. It is just literally those little discrete pieces on the tracks, and everywhere else it's silent. So I don't need a noise gate on those. All right, that is basically the edit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen to the remaining parts of the recording after we get off the air, and I do that for outtakes. And I'm not going to do that on the air right now, but as soon as I get that done, I will come back either later tonight. Yeah, I could come back tonight and come back with another Twitch stream of the actual audio edit. And I also have to preview the Starling Tribune for this week as well. That's all done. It's on one single track, and I preview it for show notes as well as anything that I end up taking out of it. So usually it's maybe a crutch word that wasn't caught by the VA as she was editing, or it's something that I have experience to do that the VA doesn't, and I end up correcting it in the track. And it's no big deal because I'm listening to it anyway for show notes. So, yeah, there's a lot of previewing that goes on in post. I know a lot of people, they record it, they cut it, and then they push it out. I actually go for a little bit higher quality product, and maybe all the post work that I do is because we're not as good when we record. I mean, there's that too. I have heard Bandrew say that he has recorded like 3, 4, 5, 6 times sometimes to get something out. And as an individual, I could see how that would be an issue. I would just go with the multiple camera angles and edit it in and out, and that wouldn't be a big deal for me. But I don't know Bandrew's full work flow. So, I mean, there might be a reason why he's had to stop and start again and try to do it in one take. I have never, well, I won't say never. Rarely have I been a one take wonder, and we don't do anything on my shows that I edit. Now, on Better Podcasting and Gonna Geek, those are different shows. Chris, Steven, and myself are hosts that we're okay with everything that's said live most of the time, or if we're not, we make an edit point. But there are cases where there has been very few edits, and those are good weeks for Steven. He's pretty good with that. And he's able to multitask while we record, and he takes show notes, and he's ready to go after the fact. He's a phenomenal producer. Steven was meant to do this. All right, that's it for me. Thank you very much, Heather, this time. And I will be back probably later tonight with the Audacity version. So if you are editing on Audacity, you might want to stick around later for that or view it later and get some tips and tricks on Audacity. Thanks, guys. And thank you very much, guys, for watching me drone on for, oh my gosh, how long has it been? Over an hour on a 13-minute segment. Okay. Catch you guys later. Bye.